Hey, I'm Malcolm. This is my dog, Robert. And we're going to put in a pet door. This is a large plastic pet door. Now, there are some out there that are for walls, so make sure you're getting the right one when you purchase one, okay? The one for the wall is going to be considerably more expensive. But anyway, we're doing one for the door. My door is metal. It's by Pet Safe. You can get whatever brand you like. They're all going to install pretty much the same. It comes with a template. You can cut this out, which I'm going to do here in a moment, and attach it to the door so you can trace out your lines and get it cut out right. Here's the pet door itself. Nice, good flat. Got a magnet on the bottom to hold it shut when the dog's not going through it. Here's the instructions. Here are some other parts and pieces I'll explain as we go along to install this pet door. This is going to make it look nice and neat, and you don't see the guts of the inside of the door. That's what this is for. I have this jigsaw and I have a metal cutting blade because I'm going through a metal door. I'll need this drill to drill pilot holes for my jigsaw to cut the box out. Tape measure, level, and a pencil. Not a marker, not a pen, pencil. Robert's excited. So here's my template. I cut it out. If you need to know how to use scissors, there's other videos for that. This is how big it's going to be. It works just fine for him. It says up to 100 pounds. This guy weighs 80. I'm going to put it here after I get it leveled up for him to go through, okay? It tells you about height instructions, how high to keep it off the ground and things like that. I took that into consideration, but I am going to cut around this indentation on the door here, all right? I could put it center, but this is going to be on all four corners of the hole, and I don't want to deal with all that trying to seal that up. So I'm going to have it here, and I will have a little bit of gap down here and here, but it's going to be okay. So I want to center it on this, so I'm going to measure this space here, and that's 9 inches. Half of 9 is 4.5. Let's go ahead and mark that right now. So I want my mark to go a little bit above this. I'm going to say about 1 inch. And then I want my line to be straight, so I'm going to use this level to make sure that my line's perfectly straight. And with a pencil, you can clean up afterwards. Next, I'll put my paper up here on the wall. I'll match it to my center mark. I'll make sure the paper is level. Then I can mark a little bit here, just a little mark here and here. Then I'm going to use painter's tape. Easy to clean up afterwards, right? Now that I've got that on there, it's level, it's centered, and I'm going to trace out this template. Now that I'm done with the template, we get rid of that guy. As you can see here, there's my center mark. I've traced out all my lines with a pencil, and now comes the moment of truth. As you can see here, I've been drilling out my 4 corners so that my jigsaw can cut the box out. You probably can't see it, but there's a lot of styrofoam coming out. That's just insulation inside your door. That's going to be there. Don't worry about it. Here's my jigsaw, metal cutting blade. We're going to go into this hole that I drilled, and we can follow up the line and, as neat as possible, to cut out our box for our door. That's what the inside of the door looks like. We are cutting into metal. There will be metal shards. So make sure you clean all these things up with a vacuum, not just a broom, so that your pet doesn't get injured on metal shards. The hardest part of the job is done. These are your little inserts that protect your dog or cat from the metal cuts on the door. And it covers up the insulation, makes everything look nice. This is actually for the bottom. As you can see, it doesn't reach all the way across, and that's fine. The frame of the door will compensate for that. Now, if you're working alone like me, this is where the painter's tape is going to come in handy again. So I'm going to get some tape. I'm going to tape the outside panel to the outside of the door while I have visibility of all the screw holes. Once you get that side taped on, you're going to put these guys down and start figuring out how much you need to cut off for the thickness of your door. Don't worry about this being perfectly level just yet. Once we get it all together and the screws are in place, we can adjust it slightly and then tighten them down where we want it. So I've taken my little protector panel here, whatever you want to call it, and I've inserted it into the grooves designed on the outside panel. I know I need about 1/4 of an inch from the door out on this panel, and that's where I'll cut on the line. This is what I need to cut off. There are grooves that you probably can't see on the camera all down through here. I took my razor blade and I scored down the groove that I want and just simply bent this back. Then I'll go back and forth a few times and it'll pop right off. So I've cut all my pieces. I'm going to go ahead and place them into the grooves that are there on all 4 sides. You might see a little gap in the corners. Again, don't worry. Once you put it all together, it closes up really nice. I went ahead and placed a few pieces of tape on the trim so that when I got it lined up, I could just tape it in place. If this is in your way, there are a few screws you can take out and remove this flap. I've done this a few times, so I didn't have to. The kit comes with these really long plastic screws and some actual metal nuts to go on one side or the other, whichever you choose. And the reason they're plastic is once you get everything in place and they're sticking out, you can get some snips, you can trim them off to the exact length you need. This is where you're going to need access to both sides of the door. So you can put this through, start your nut, and all that good jazz. I'm going to put the nut on the outside. Again, you can do it on the inside or outside. Just remember, whatever side you put it on, that's the part you're going to be cutting off this little plastic screw. I like to use a drill whenever possible, but if you are going to use a drill, be careful and keep in mind these are plastic and they will strip out if you go too fast or too hard with a drill. So if you want to use a regular screwdriver, by all means do so. As you're putting them in, do not torque them all the way down. We're going to need to make sure this is level and everything's in place before we clamp it down and it's good to go. As you can see, my little flaps, or whatever you want to call them, are all in place, sealing everything up nice and neat. You don't see any styrofoam or anything like that coming through, and the door's going to open just fine like that. You can also see that these screws are sticking out, and once everything's tightened down, like I said, we'll take some snips, and we'll just snip those off to the perfect length. We'll get our level out again, make sure everything's where we want it to be. You're going to have some wiggle because we didn't tighten everything down. And that's great. This is where I'll use the regular screwdriver, get everything nice and snug without stripping out those plastic screws. And there you have it. Robert likes it. He's already been through it once. And this is your cover that snaps in place if you don't want any other critters coming in, or you don't want your dog going out while you're away or home. You can get replacement flaps from PetSafe if this thing gets torn, worn, warped, or whatever the case may be. You can get replacements for this all day long. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned a little something. It took me about an hour and a half to do this, and I was videotaping and doing all the other stuff for the video as well. So, it may take you an hour and a half, it may take you 2 hours. I don't know. But it's not a hard job if you got the right tools and you're not afraid to do it. If you like these videos and you like anything else that I do, let me know in the comments below. So until next time, thanks for watching.